Randy Orton hasn't been seen on WWE television since June 21 when he failed to qualify for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match on Raw. It's been over a month now, and there has been a lot of speculation about Randy Orton's whereabouts and whether he is still in WWE. So we are going to start this video by dismissing the rumors of Randy Orton being released and moving to AEW. Don't forget, take a moment to subscribe and smash that like button. The answer is yes, Randy Orton is still with WWE. He signed a 5-year contract with WWE in November 2019, which means that he'll be with the company for 3 more years at the very least. As for where Randy Orton has been, that remains unknown. Randy Orton was originally scheduled to return in early August 2021, but he wasn't seen backstage either, according to PW Insider. The latest update from the Wrestling Observer newsletter is that WWE is keeping the reason behind Randy Orton's return under wraps. So as of this video production, there is no knowledge about Randy Orton's absence. Randy Orton's last tweet was him paying respects to the Bollywood boys after their release from WWE. Last year, whenever any WWE superstar would quietly disappear, it was assumed that they had COVID-19, and that it was kept a secret from the public. Only a few names within the company were open about it. Even the reason behind Keith Lee's sudden disappearance from February to July 2021 wasn't disclosed to anyone, although if it was just COVID-19, it's unlikely his hiatus would have lasted for nearly half a year. Randy Orton's WWE run in 2021 has been a tale of 2 stories. For the first 4 months, it was a feud with Alexa Bliss, and an underwhelming conclusion to his rivalry with Bray Wyatt, who wrestled his last match against Randy Orton at WrestleMania 37. Post-WrestleMania, things have been more entertaining from a fan perspective. Randy Orton's odd pairing tag team with Riddle, known as RK-Bro, has been a big hit so far, although their momentum has stalled with Randy Orton's absence in WWE for over a month. It should be interesting to see how things play out with Riddle once Randy Orton returns. It has the makings of an entertaining, long-term storyline. Apparently neither Triple H nor Shawn Michaels were consulted on who from NXT should be released last week. Triple H was reportedly not consulted about which NXT superstars were going to get released at the end of last week. WWE continued to add to what is already a list of more than 50 released superstars and employees last week by letting go of 12 more NXT talents. Perhaps one of the most shocking batches so far is Bronson Reed, Mercedes Martinez, and Bobby Fish were among the names to be shown the door. This all comes amid reports that NXT will be undergoing some major changes in the near future. Triple H is the man credited with responsibility for turning NXT into what it is today. However, Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer has been led to believe neither he nor his Hall of Fame right-hand man Shawn Michaels had any say in who was cut last week. The decisions were made by Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, and John Laurinaitis. Apparently, the reasoning behind the latest releases was that the trio responsible for them foresaw no future for the stars on the main roster. Interesting, as that suggests NXT is still seen as developmental in the eyes of McMahon rather than its own brand. That's despite the likes of Johnny Gargano and Dakota Kai seemingly staying there for good without a potential call-up looming. The 12 names let go and the reports that have followed suggest McMahon is reacting to the past 2 years of NXT. The black and gold brand failing to compete with AEW Dynamite before it moved nights, and whatever problem the boss has with the likes of Karrion Kross and Keith Lee. A message that has also surfaced, which some have claimed is a mandate from the boss, hints that the goal is to leave smaller wrestlers in the past and only focus on talent under the age of 30. If Triple H really was kept in the dark about what happened last week, this could be the start of a very different, potentially incredibly bleak era in NXT's still quite short history. It also suggests McMahon's recent trip to the Performance Center wasn't just to scout people he could use on Raw and SmackDown, it was also to rid NXT of stars he doesn't have any use for elsewhere. This week's episode of NXT will be incredibly interesting, although any changes being implemented probably won't take hold right away. Former WWE Superstar Rene Dupree has accused Goldberg of being an unsafe worker. According to Dupree, the WWE Hall of Famer dislocated his collarbone during a pre-tape backstage after Goldberg struck him with the French flag. Dupree claims that it still pains him to this day whenever he tries to flex. Rene Dupree spoke about his unpleasant experience working with Goldberg on that 90s wrestling podcast. He called out the WCW star for being unsafe and alleged that many wrestlers could back it up. "Yeah, he dislocated my collarbone," said Dupree. "We, La Resistance, had a pre-tape in the back with Goldberg and he hit me with the French flag and we had to do 5 takes. To this day, if I try to flex it, it still hurts. Yeah, he's the S. He's horrible, many wrestlers will tell you that," said Dupree. Rene Dupree also accused WWE of being desperate as the company continues to book Goldberg in a high position. He attributed it to the company's inability to create new stars. To me WWE, must be desperate, Dupree added. That's the only thing I can figure. They can't create new stars or they don't have confidence in the people they have, added Dupree. Rene Dupree departed from WWE in 2007 and went on to wrestle for several other wrestling promotions such as Pro Wrestling Noah and All Japan Pro Wrestling. During his time in WWE from 2002 to 2007, he was a part of a tag team known as La Resistance, with Sylvain Grenier. You know, when I first left there, I wanted to accomplish stuff outside of WWE as a wrestler to gain respect, said Dupree. And after nearly 60 tours of Japan, main eventing all over the world, main eventing sold-out arenas all over the world, I kind of like to think I've earned that respect from my peers, revealed Dupree. Dupree stated that he wouldn't mind making a return to WWE or any other wrestling promotion in the United States to compete in front of the lively crowd. And honestly, WWE is the worldwide showcase, and I will also not be scared because there was a lot of times if I can fire you Rene, John Laurinaitis voice, that wouldn't scare me because I know there's a world outside and I know how to work that game, he added. So you can't scare me with that Bulls T anymore, but because of that might actually hold me back because they know they can't F with me that way. But I would love to work in front of an American audience and a worldwide audience again, just to show them I'm not the same wrestler I was back then. I'm a hell of a lot better, Dupree concluded. In 2003, Dupree made history by becoming the youngest tag team champion in WWE history at 19 years old, but his record was broken by Nicholas in 2018 after the latter won the Raw tag titles at the age of 10 with Braun Strowman at WrestleMania 34. John Cena has dismissed theories that his WWE success is largely down to Vince McMahon allowing him to do whatever he wants, while some former WWE stars have spoken out about their promos being heavily scripted. Cena is allowed to occasionally go off script on WWE television. One famous example of this came in 2015, when the 16-time world champion interrupted his own match to address a marriage proposal in the crowd. Speaking on ID 10T with Chris Hardwick, Cena discussed the perception that WWE's chairman lets him get away with things that others would get reprimanded for. I heard it so much in WWE. Well, Vince lets him do whatever he wants. That's why he can consistently perform at a level that's acceptable and entertaining to the audience. He gets to do whatever he wants, Cena said. Nope, I ask and I execute and I invest, and I'm meticulous with the detail, and I'm consistent night in night out. I'm trustworthy. I'm giving of self. The perception everyone else has is, he just has a better situation, and I'm not taking away from anybody's struggle, and I've learned to appreciate everyone's struggle, and everyone has a different struggle. I can understand where those struggles come from. John Cena recently returned to WWE after over a year away from the company. He is currently preparing to challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at WWE SummerSlam on August 21. John Cena has not wrestled full-time for WWE since he began focusing on his television and movie career in 2016. Discussing his latest in-ring comeback, the 44-year-old recently told Forbes' Jeff Conway that he returned because he had a free month on his schedule. He also hinted that he could stay in WWE even longer if he dethrones Roman Reigns to win the Universal Championship. John Cena's only previous televised singles match against Roman Reigns took place at WWE No Mercy 2017. Reigns picked up the victory with a spear after surviving 2 consecutive attitude adjustments. Former WWE and WCW writer Vince Russo believes Bray Wyatt should leave the wrestling business and pursue a future in Hollywood. Wyatt received his release from WWE on July 31, after 12 years with the company. It has been heavily speculated that the 34-year-old could become the latest released WWE star to join AEW when his 90-day non-compete clause expires. Speaking to Sportskeeda Wrestling's Dr. Chris Featherstone, Russo encouraged Wyatt not to sign for AEW. Instead, he thinks the 3-time WWE World Champion should act in horror movies and aim to become the next Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees. I pray to God, bro, please get a Hollywood agent, flush out this character the way that you saw this character, Russo said. You flush it out, your image, your creation, get together with a screenwriter. Bro, you've got the next Jason, Freddy for the next 10 years. Please don't go to AEW. This guy is better than wrestling. Please, bro, trust me on this. This guy could be the next horror icon, doing it his way. The Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer recently speculated that AEW EVP Cody Rhodes could potentially play a part in Bray Wyatt joining AEW. Wyatt, real name Wyndham Rotunda, is a third-generation wrestler whose family has been close with the Rhodes for decades. Paul White, F.K. of The Big Show, has worked for AEW since February 2021. He told the Ring Report this week that there's always an opportunity for the likes of Wyatt and Braun Strowman to join AEW.